Well, a very good evening to each and every one of you joining us here today. How are you, my love?
I am fine. I'm having a good week. Are you?
I'm having a very good week. Lots of curves and lots of surprises in this week's episode, so sit back, relax and enjoy. And welcome one, welcome all to this week's episode of Your Manchester. We have got loads in today's show. We are also looking at something quite important though, really.
We are, because this week is all leading up to a very important day, and we are talking about World AIDS Day, which is on the 1st of December. And our roving reporter, our lovely Tom, has been out and about to do a bit of delving and tell us some background.
In 2018, it was estimated there are over 100,000 people living with HIV in the UK. 93% of these people are diagnosed, which means that around 1 in 14 people living with HIV in the UK do not yet know that they have the virus. The worldwide HIV/AIDS crisis began in the 1980s, where it was considered a death sentence if you had the virus. Whilst there was a lot of misinformation on how HIV was contracted, Diana, Princess of Wales, helped to challenge the stigma surrounding HIV and gay men. World AIDS Day is an international day dedicated to raising awareness of the AIDS pandemic and to remember those we have lost to the virus. To understand how far we've come, I visited one of the many independent support centres we have in the UK. George House Trust here in Manchester offers free services to those living with and affected by HIV.
George House Trust was established in 1985, originally as Manchester AIDS Line, in response to HIV arriving in Manchester. So we provide one-to-one and group support for people living with HIV. We'll probably see around 750 to 800 people over the course of a year. HIV diagnosis is declining nationally, but Greater Manchester isn't seeing that decline in new diagnosis in the same way as, say, London is. So we've got some catching up to do, and the single biggest group of people who are getting a HIV diagnosis is young gay men aged 25 to 30. HIV often is not thought about in the same way as it is before. People's perceptions of HIV have changed, but it's still a highly stigmatised condition. Living with HIV today is not like living with HIV many, many years ago, when, in effect, it was a death sentence. That was the phrase that was used at that time.
Whilst there is no cure for HIV, groundbreaking medication has been developed in more recent years to treat and prevent the spread of HIV. On top of this, pre-exposure prophylaxis is used to prevent HIV infection in those who do not yet have the virus. In 2015, less than 1% of people living with HIV in the UK died, and people newly diagnosed with HIV today can expect a normal life expectancy if diagnosed on time and on effective treatment.
The treatment is so effective that the amount of HIV in the body will be reduced to such low levels that it will be undetectable, which means that somebody living with HIV on effective treatment cannot pass on the virus to their sexual partner, and you'll live a normal life, but you'll live it with HIV. The best thing that we can do, and the thing that we like to say to somebody who comes to see us at George House Trust, is we're pleased you've got your diagnosis, because now you know, now we can help you, and now you can get on with your life. The most important thing that you can do if you are sexually active and you have and why wouldn't you be, and there's you have a number of partners, just test regularly. It's never been easier to test. Organisations such as LGBT Foundation and BHA for Equality offer testing within community settings. You can order home test kits now online, or any sexual health clinic whatever your preference or comfort zone around testing, there will be an option for you.
This year, to commemorate World AIDS Day, 15 sections of the UK AIDS Memorial Quilt will be on display across Greater Manchester later this month.
These panels have all been stitched together and were made by friends, family, lovers of people who were lost to HIV in the early days of the epidemic. So from the late 80s to the mid 90s. These panels tell the stories behind the names on those panels. Many of the panels they all remember the people so fondly, of course, but they may have a t-shirt stitched onto them, they may have a denim jacket stitched onto them, a teddy bear. They're made out of ribbon and fabric and quilting, and there's just so much colour and love. And they really are special. They are an irreplaceable piece of social history. They're such an important part of our HIV history, and they need to be seen. They've been in storage for a long time. It's the first time ever that they've been displayed across the whole of Greater Manchester. And we're going to have 6 on display in Manchester, and there will be 1 quilt in a venue across the other 9 boroughs.
Despite Manchester being behind London in the decline of new HIV diagnosis, the UK has undeniably made progress towards eradicating the virus. Join us on the 1st of December to celebrate the progress made and to honour those that were lost.
Loads of food for thought there, isn't there?
Absolutely. What a really nice VT there, and obviously a great day that is coming up. And talking of that, we've got 2 very special guests on our sofa.
We have on our sofa right now, we've got the lovely Jordan Roberts and the wonderful Christian Asare. Is that how we pronounce that name? Yeah. That's very, very nice, that name, isn't it? And so you're also an artist, and you're bringing us a very special event, aren't you? What's the event called?
It's called To Whom It May Concern. I am teaming up with Manchester Pride and Superbia to bring an exhibition/event. So my main practice is photography. I'm working with the playwright Nathaniel Hall, who's going to be hosting a letter writing workshop. I'm going to be working with participants who are all living with HIV, taking their portraits in front of a stunning backdrop painted by Christian.
What's these letters that you mentioned then?
So they will be coming out style letters. Nathaniel is kind of curating this workshop. Obviously his play, First Time, dived into his experience, how he contracted HIV on the first time, which, you know, it showcased the letter that he wrote. So he's taken it on himself to create this workshop. Each participant will sit down, write these letters, and then at the exhibition they'll be available for people to read, and the portraits will be there for people to view, and some of the people will be reading those out at the exhibition on the 30th as well.
It sounds like a great event. It sounds quite an emotional event. This is happening on the 30th of November, right? How do you come up with an idea like that? How did this, come to life?
A lot of thought. So I was diagnosed with HIV last year. July last year, I got that horrible message. It was an email which kind of gave me the inclination. I then went to the George House Trust. I got a bit of counselling. I went on a course called Living HIV Confident, which kind of inspired me to want to do something to raise awareness about HIV and also to remove the stigma that there is around it in the world. Do you
think the stigma is still there? Because, as a young girl growing up in the 80s, obviously, it was very prevalent. We were all hearing about, HIV and AIDS for the first time. And there was that, don't touch that person, but, you've got to be, there was that stigma. Is that still around? Because I don't feel like we see that.
It's there. It's a lot less, don't get me wrong. I think one of the big things is a lot of people who live with HIV have to deal with their own stigma, which is something, I can tell you from experience that there's always that kind of thought. It's hard to explain, it's hard to put into words, but you put a stigma on yourself. And I think giving people the opportunity to come in and kind of sit and write about it and do something in a community of people who've all been through similar experiences. It should be quite cathartic and help people move on from that stigma, whilst also educating people who might still believe those stigmas from an outside perspective. It should hopefully educate them to see otherwise as well.
And Christian, you dance as well, don't you?
Yeah, I'm a multidisciplinary artist.
Wow.
So I paint, I dance, I write, and I choreograph.
So how is that going to be, you know, part of the exhibition then? How
I will be creating a backdrop that's essentially inspired by Keith Haring's artworks. And we'll also be taking a bit of inspiration from the U equals U movement, which essentially means
Undetectable equals untransmittable.
what he said.
Well done.
So we're taking the time to educate people, and at the same time also trying to spread a bit of love through art. So I'm creating these pieces in the hope that we'll be using them as a backdrop for the photography for the people who come to participate in the event.
And this really fits in with the theme for this year's World AIDS Day, which is taking place on the 1st of December, because it's about communities, isn't it, the theme this year? And this is bang on, isn't it?
Yes. It's, yeah, here it is. I mean, the space that I'm trying to create, the exhibition and the event itself, the main part of it is encouraging sobriety. So the bar that we're having inside the actual exhibition will be alcohol free. There's a bar upstairs that people can go to and buy alcohol if they want. However, I'm trying to
What's the reason for that?
To promote conversation. Obviously the event itself, it's educational, and it's a serious topic, and I want people to be in, you know, a clear frame of mind so they can really receive that message. I don't want people to turn up and just get drunk and not take it seriously.
There's like a talk as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
And a panel.
Yeah.
How's that going to work?
So I've got Cheddar Gorgeous and Anaphylactic. They'll be hosting the evening. And then I've got a panel which will consist of 6 artists and activists from Greater Manchester, including myself, Nathaniel. I've got a few charity reps. I've got somebody from ACT UP Manchester, which was, you know, ACT UP was the main organisation back in the 80s who fought for antiretroviral medications that we've got today, and a lot of the awareness that
And you've also got a talk on PrEP as well, haven't you?
I do indeed.
Could you just explain to people exactly what PrEP is, for those that don't know?
So PrEP is a preventative drug. You take 1 pill a day and it basically stops you being able to contract HIV.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So where's it at?
Pardon?
Where's it at, the event?
So the event it's a bar in Northern Quarter called Wilson's Social. They've got a club underneath the venue called the Cotton Club. So it's
Know it well,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
Great
It's gonna be in
venue.
there.
Fantastic. And how do you get tickets? Do you need tickets to get to the event, or can you just turn up on
It's a
this
free
night?
event. I don't want people to have to pay to come and hear these conversations. These conversations should be accessible to everyone. And hopefully there's going to be a good element of entertainment as well as serious conversations, so that it's not just all talk and no.
And it's on the 30th, and it's from 5 o'clock. At the
Correct,
club.
yeah.
Well, thank you very much, both of you, for coming in today.
problem. Thank you for having us.
We always talk about things like this, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what you said about education is absolutely spot on. I think the more that we educate people, the more that these things, you know, are stopped.
Education and creativity
Really.
equals conversation. Well, thank you very much.
And now it's over to our very special lady who is always in the know. Of course, it's Hayley.
Hi, I'm Hayley and welcome to On The Box. Now, I've been watching the series Pose. The second series is out on iPlayer. Do watch it. If you're not watching it, you're missing out. The Accident with Sarah Lancashire is on iPlayer too. The Ant and Dec, brilliant. They're back with I'm a Celebrity. And Caitlyn Jenner and Kate Garraway are rumoured to be guests this series as well. Roman Kemp has apologised for offensive past tweets. And I've also just started to watch his Dark Materials, which is on iPlayer, and it's looking good, so I definitely would recommend that. Now, The Good Liar is out in cinemas now, and that stars Ian McKellen and Helen Mirren. The cast of Phoenix Nights are hoping to bring the popular show back. Happy days. And on Corrie, Paul will soon confide in his family about the abuse he suffered as a child at the hands of Kel. The soap has actually been working very closely on the story with Survivors Manchester. Helen Flanagan has actually announced that she doesn't know when she'll be returning to Corrie, but she does plan to come back at some point. Now that's it from me. I will catch you next time. Bye.
Oh, how lovely was that flower pot?
Oh yeah, I'm a big fan of all those programmes that you mentioned. I'm a Celebrity, can't wait for Pose. I love that show.
Also, let's bring Titters in. Come on in, Titters, come on
Hey.
in. Because we have just discovered,
That they've got matching jumpers.
they've got matching jump. Oh, it's definitely a year for
Twin
wool.
towels.
It's the season of wool. I love it. We have just discovered, it's just been on the news recently, that they are doing a Friends reunited, a cast of Friends. It's going to be an unscripted version, and it's not going to give us any much more of the story, but it is going to be an unscripted version of Friends.
Really, we've been wanting this for ages.
And apparently that's why they all had the big get together.
When Jennifer Aniston took to Instagram and started her account off, there was a big picture of all the Friends cast together, and it was like tongues were wagging, and now we
must have got the
know.
money together
Are you
then.
saying we're like the Friends cast?
Who
Am I
would you
Jennifer?
be? Which would you be? Jennifer, would you?
Yeah, I'd be
Who would you be?
Rachel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably
Who would
Rachel.
you be?
I'd like to be Joey because I keep going to these castings but never getting the jobs.
I don't know. why.
Joey, yeah.
I always end up being Chandler.
Chandler's mum.
Chandler Big in a frock.
Chandler's mum. What are you saying? Disgusting. Anyway, Titters.
Yeah, right,
Just ignore this one. Just ignore her.
Mm-hmm.
So what have you brought us today then?
Right, tonight is the big night.
Wow, what's happening?
Tonight is the switch on of the Manchester Lights.
Oh!
And the important thing is if you want to go tonight,
Yes.
make sure you go to the right place.
Oh, why?
Because it's not in Albert Square this year.
Oh, it's not.
It's at the end of Deansgate near the cathedral. Because
It's all counselling buildings this year.
because of the council building being closed, they moved it over there. And if you do actually go to Albert Square, you'll see the markets that opened last week.
Yeah. So you won't be kind of like disappointed because you'll get
No,
the
no, you get the
markets, but
markets,
you won't get the big
but
switch
the main
on.
thing
Who's
is-
switching it on then? Do we know?
The hosts are from Hits Radio, which is Fleur East, because that's the one I know. I don't know who
Probably
Greg
giving a
Burns
song.
and Sally.
She will. She's got
Yeah, she's
fabulous
gorgeous. I mean, she's fabulous.
Shiny one this week, actually.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
she can get away with anything.
Yeah, with Greg Burns and James Barr, which I presume they're all from Hits Radio.
Co-presenters on the morning show.
Is it? Right, I did say that. I'm glad you're up to speed on things like that.
You need a morning show when you've got an evening show.
Well, yeah.
And we've got a line-up, where are we? There's Becky Hill, who used to be, she was the first one from The Voice to ever get a #1 hit single.
Right.
And I think she's a local girl.
Yeah.
Is it Harvey or Harvy?
Oh, is he there?
He's there. He's a YouTube sensation, evidently. But he used to be a children's BBC presenter. And X Factor's Four of Diamonds, the girl group, they're coming along. And of course, the
I'm calling you
main.
when you have your shower in the morning, you're on the window like that.
No, that's what I said.
Oh yeah, Five of Spades, yeah.
Sorry.
They're definitely more like diamonds, trust me.
Talking about switch-ons, I'm just going to say, and it might be down on your list here,
What?
Media City have got its very first light switch-on happening on Friday this week.
I didn't know that, but that's one for us. Yeah.
It
So
is,
tomorrow,
yeah, it's gonna be
so we've
great.
got the
And
Manchester tonight.
there is an extravaganza going on as well, whilst we're going for everything.
Extravaganza.
There's the Max Sween extravaganza, going to the Lowry.
I wonder who's on that.
Oh, I haven't got a clue. But that's coming there at the Lowry in the Lyric Theatre.
That is going to be great, and for a
there.
great cause that is raising money for children in need and also the Lowry's charity.
Lowry's charity
Yeah.
as well. And what else is there? Oh yeah, Priscilla's coming.
Priscilla,
I
Queen
passed the
of the
notice.
Desert.
Yeah.
And there's-
Brilliant job, been in that.
You've done that, haven't you?
Yeah, I was bobbing that.
You were bobbing
Mechanic.
that.
Loved it. It's the best feel-good
It
show
is,
in the
very
world.
I love it. It's one of my favourites.
Basically, I was going to say Alf Roberts, but it's not Alf Roberts, is it?
Alf from
Al
No
Stewart.
Business.
Al Stewart.
That
There
was
is a slight
Character.
Excellent. Alf Roberts, Al Stewart, that would be totally...
About 30 years, I think.
So there's an after show for that, and I have been told to tell everybody there's an after show for the Priscilla on the Friday and the Saturday. And I'm hosting that as well, so I thought I'd just get all my plugs in while I'm
Bit
on
of
this episode.
self-promotion, you
Yeah.
know, but that sounds
Right, well-
fantastic. So if you've missed the show, then it doesn't matter because you get full intro afterwards.
And tickets are only £20 to come to that as well, so
Okay.
that's marvellous. So I've done that. Anything else on your list while I'm
Well,
here?
really, the highlight of the week this week, it's Monday night at the London Palladium, and the B Vocal Choir accompanying
Absolutely.
I'm so made
Emily
up for them.
Sandé,
Yeah.
as part of the Royal Variety performance.
Yeah, so basically, that choir group that we've had on the show
Yeah.
numerous of times, Adam Blees,
Yeah.
who is in
Adam-
Coronation Street.
Best
is our
laugh in the
lovely
world,
man.
that guy.
Yeah,
Half an hour with him, you're chuckling anyway. aren't
well,
you?
he's in the choir, isn't he?
Yeah.
So they're going to be performing at the Royal Albert Hall, which I think is an
I mean, they've only been, they formed in March, wasn't it? A year last March.
Yeah.
And sort of like this year, they did the Charity Shield, didn't they, at Wembley, which must have been since it's a mental health choir,
Yeah.
that must have been awesome, because you've got the singing Blue Moon, so half of your audience are singing with you, and you're getting booed by the other half because they're all Liverpool supporters. I mean, it's such a...
You just went on to football then.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. That one,
overhead.
did you glass? Yeah, you glossed over, didn't you?
Yeah.
But no, I think it is great. It's a great idea anyway for them to be doing that, to improve their mental health and all get together. But also, Emily Sandé, how many times will you get to sing with Emily Sandé? It's going to be phenomenal.
It's go on.
I was going to say the Heads Up campaign as well.
Yes.
With Prince William and Prince Harry.
Yeah.
They're involved in that as well. So they've had a monster year and they're finishing off this.
So there's so much going on.
And they're Manchester based.
Yeah.
And if anybody actually wants to join the choir,
Yeah.
they meet on Wednesday nights. It's either they're supported by the Bridgewater Hall.
Yeah.
So they're either at the Bridgewater Hall or 53-2 for the rehearsals. Lainey Craig, who's the psychologist,
That's right, yeah.
she's there to support either at rehearsals or
Yeah.
performances.
Yeah.
And I just think it's a most wonderful setup.
Yeah.
But, you know, like good things to come to people that do good things.
It's true.
And that's my highlight of the
It's
week.
true. Speaking of good things that come to good people, we have got a little birthday celebration here in our studio today. Can we have our director on set, please? Wherever you are, please come here now quickly. Thank you. We're running out of time. We've got to do this super quickly. If you could just come and sort of place yourself wherever you think that you're best
See,
in
this is a
shot.
bit of a surprise. Nobody knows this is happening.
This is our Oreo, everybody. Come in this way. Come get in close. Just melt on my toe. There's an outtake. So come get in. Right, so this is our lovely director, and it's your birthday, isn't it? Now, before we do that, I do believe we've got a little trailer from a film of yours that's coming up soon, and we'll probably play that round about now.
Where are you going? I can see you.
My name is Oriel Frankie Ashcroft, and I am female to male transgender.
Now, because it's your birthday, the things I do, I can't even move. Hold on, I've got
Do you
this.
need a hand?
I've got it covered. There we go. Happy birthday, Flower, and we shall now sing to you. 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you.
I've got a cat.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy
birthday, dear Oriel.
Happy birthday to you.
Hip hip!
Hooray!
Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip!
Hooray! Well, there you are. You've all joined us. You've all had fun with us. Thanks for watching this week's episode of
Your Manchester.